Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Training the New Workforce, SMEs, and Learning Professionals Unite. Before we get started, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the chat window in the bottom right corner of your screen to type in your questions. Be sure to select all participants in the drop-down so everyone can view your questions. If you have any technical difficulty during the presentations, you can use the chat function to send your request directly to the Lifecycle Institute, and we will address your concern. Your speaker today is Tara Denton, a learning subject matter expert with the Lifecycle Institute. Without further delay, I will now turn it over to Tara.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you all for joining me for today's Lifecycle Institute webinar. The title of our webinar, as Sherry says, Training the New Workforce. We're going to talk about SMEs and learning professionals working together to create learning solutions. So what are we here to talk about today? Take a look at the words we're searching for in this puzzle. Feel free to use the annotation tools to circle or put a line through the words when you find them. I wanted to start off this session with something fun that targeted on our subject matter for today. The article we published this month in Impact opened with a declaration that we frequently hear these days. I'll read a little from the article so you can remember what I mean. January 1st, 2011 seemed ordinarily enough for most. In fact, most people probably did not realize that on this day a cycle was kicked into action that will forever change the face of organizations as we know them. On January 1st, 2011, the first baby boomers started turning 65. This group, making up the largest percentage of the workforce, is reaching retirement age. This is a scary realization for many organizations whose workforce is stacked with baby boomers. This is no surprise. A huge percentage of our workforce is getting ready to retire. We need to capture their expertise and transform it into organizational knowledge that we use to thrive. So what do we do about it? How can we work with our experienced talent to prepare and train the new workforce? You guys are doing really good on this puzzle. Thanks. We need to decode their tacit knowledge and turn it into explicit knowledge, or into knowledge that can be taught through training and mentoring and documented in standard processes and procedures. Now we'll move from our introductory puzzle on to the meat of this session. How do we meet this challenge? How do we translate the known into something that can be taught and can be accomplished by partnering with someone who has achieved expertise in an area, or as we call them, a subject matter expert? Asking that person to partner with a learning professional to effectively design and deliver the knowledge transfer. At the Lifecycle Institute, this is one of my primary responsibilities. I work with experts to deliver a learning solution. And I believe some of the positive and challenging moments experienced by working with an SME to deliver an effective solution can be repurposed to be used by any project team and or any partnership. For the next few minutes, we're going to take a look at a three-step process that can help SMEs and trained professionals partner to make the best learning product for their clients. To set the stage for the benefits the three-step process can bring to your project, let's take a look at some of the challenges and opportunities we face working together. When embarking on a project, some common issues are lack of understanding of what is to come. I don't know what to do. Finding common ground on expectations and roles for the project may be an area that's unsure for the project team members. What's in it for me? Motivation. Subject matter experts are many times working on projects in addition to regular responsibilities. And what does that mean? Effective and positive communication is necessary when embarking on a project. So what are some of the challenges you face when beginning a new project with others? I'd like for you to take a moment to chat in some responses to that question. What are some of the challenges you face when beginning a new project where you have to partner with others? If you'll chat into all participants, then that will mean that all of us will be able to see your responses. Let's see what we have here. Building a relationship. That's a tough one. A lot of times, and that's what we're talking about today, but a lot of times people don't realize that not only are you embarking on a project together, but in order for you to build trust and positive rapport and to work more smoothly together, that relationship is key. how to share tasks. We won't get into too much about the project plan today in today's webinar, but we certainly are going to get into understanding those expectations and roles and responsibilities, and I'm going to give you guys a tool that you can use to be able to define those. So now that we know a few of those challenges that you guys face, let's move on with the presentation. Now let's talk about the positive side. Although there are concerns, there are many opportunities to be gained for both the learning professional and the SME engaged in a project to build their organizational knowledge banks. So try to frame your thoughts around the good that can come from a rich partnership. For example, what can you tell me about ... That's sharing expertise and growing competencies. Or asking, how do you see this? Additional perspectives and point of views that your other partner can bring to the project. Or what else can we do? This is a question or an opportunity in a project that can open the door for future innovation. So we talked about some challenges and some opportunities that we face when working with others on a project. Let's introduce the three-step process. I call this the SME three-step. The point of the three steps is to navigate the challenges and capitalize on the opportunities of working on a project together. The first step is partnership agreement. In our chat earlier, we heard that it's a difficulty in sharing different tasks. This partnership agreement can help you set the stage for how to do that most effectively. Communication with ears. I'm not going to tell you what ears are yet. You'll learn a little bit later. Celebrate and congratulate successes. So let's talk about each step of the process individually. I mentioned in the article that I talked with different subject matter experts to determine what worked well for them during a project and what would have made the project more enjoyable or would have run more smoothly for them. A repeat response was that more confidence and responsiveness would have occurred if there had been more information about what was expected from the SME and in turn what the learning partner would be responsible for during the project. Many of the challenges that we mentioned to projects are related to not understanding how the project is supposed to run and people's roles and responsibilities. Lifecycle consultants frequently use partnership agreements as they re-engineer business processes in the field. In an effort to incorporate that best practice, and on the suggestion of an ASTD or an American Society for Training and Development webinar that was titled The Power of Relationship in SME Success, we developed a list of questions that you can ask your partner at the beginning of a project to clarify roles, expectations, and hopefully pinpoint motivations for being on the project and in order to build a learning solution that can support the new workforce. Take a look at these questions. I encourage you to write these down to keep as a reference or to incorporate as a tool if you're going to be building a partnership agreement. These questions can help the SME and learning professional determine the rules of the game in terms of having a clear path forward on the project. Question number 1, what are the specific objectives of this project? Number 2, what makes you want to work on this project? Does any part of the project interest you? Question number 3, what do you see as your role in this effort? Question number 4, what resources are available to support our efforts? Now, do any of these questions address the motivation or the what's in it for me question? Take a pointer annotation tool or use any of the other annotation tools if you like to select which question out of these 4 tries to discover the underlying reason why each partner is working in the project. Which question tries to target motivation? Is the person's involvement in the project motivated by internal for example, passion for the project or desire to contribute, or is the motivation external? It could be a requirement for that particular position, or there may be more compensation involved. Knowing this information can help drive interaction and understanding during the project. I'm seeing a lot of number 2 and number 3s being checked, and that's exactly right. By asking these questions, you can try to determine what the primary motivations for the SME working on this project are, and that is going to help you in a degree of understanding as you're working through the project. So let's move on. There are 4 more questions, actually 5 more questions I'd like to share with you. Question number 5. Will we encourage or engage others in this effort? And how will we engage others in this effort? Question number 6. What are the specific tasks and activities we need to accomplish for success, and when? Number 7. Who will be responsible for planning and executing these efforts that we've defined as being critical for success? Question number 8. How will we know we are successful? And question number 9. How does this work contribute to the organization? Are any of these questions targeted at discovering motivation? Take a look at them and think about that for a second. A partnership agreement can be as formal or informal as necessary to set expectations that clarify the SMEs and the designer's expectations, roles, and responsibilities at the beginning, at the outset of the project. The main point is to find common ground and realize that each party is contributing to the end product. And you guys have it spot on. Number 9 is definitely a motivational type question. How are my efforts going to get visibility within the organization and contribute to the organizational goals? Step number 2, communicate with ears. The partnership agreement, or those questions that we gave you to build a partnership agreement, those set the stage for how the overall project is run. But what about the day-to-day or week-to-week communication and outreach? Well, we need something a little bit more specific than that. This is where step 2 comes in, communicate with ears. And no, we're not talking about the ears you hear with. We're talking about the principles of learning as defined by Malcolm Knowles. Knowles' theory of andragogy, or adult learning, is well known and vastly used by training and designers to develop and deliver knowledge. The Institute has grabbed onto 4 of these principles as foundational to our learning solutions, and we found that they're foundational to developing a product that can train the new workforce. These principles are experience. Adults engage in learning with unique and often extensive prior knowledge that will aid or inhibit learning. Active. Adults who test and apply new knowledge and skills in the learning environment are more likely to change their behavior on the job. Relevant. Adults are ready to learn when they sense a need to cope with real-life situations. And self-direction. Adults learn best when they take charge of their learning. So, Tara, you're telling us about ears, but what does this have to do with the relationship of an SME and a learning designer? Well, we can use the same principles and apply them to how we approach communication and build a stronger relationship during a project. This is a different application. It asks us to alter the perspective we use when employing these principles. When using the 4 principles to more effectively communicate with your development partner, I'll describe the 4 principles in a different way. Let's take experience. In this sense, value and draw on the prior experience and knowledge that both the SME and the learning professional bring to the table. Active. Work on ways to be proactive in developing deliverables, enthusiastic and communicative about the process and the progress so that both partners remain engaged in the project. Relevant. Keep the focus on relevancy of the project to the learner, the organization, the SME, and the learning professional. Why is this project important for each stakeholder? Self-direction. Encourage initiative and foster autonomy by sharing ideas about how training should be delivered. Share authority for making decisions about owning the product and discouraging a passive, silent partner. Let's take a look at some examples of how these principles can actually be used to guide communication. I'd like to open up a poll here. The poll contains examples of communication, and each statement focuses on one of the EAR's principles. Read these statements and choose which principle you feel is being represented through that phrase. So take a moment to answer that poll. I know it will take a while to read through all of the questions and submit your answer. If you're already done answering the poll, I'd like for you to consider, have you tried to filter your communication to more effectively reach your audience? Many of us have, in terms of if we have to give a report potentially to our manager or our supervisor, or if we are giving a presentation to a certain audience, we'll filter our communication to make sure that we're reaching everyone out there. I want you to, as you're reading these questions, kind of consider that in the same way you'll be doing this with your subject matter expert or your course development partner. You'll be filtering your communication to reach what is important to them. So any minute now we'll get those poll results. And as we're waiting for those results, I'll go ahead and I'll move on to step 3. Have we gotten those results yet? They are coming up. Okay. Step number 3 is celebrate and congratulate. A best practice in learning is to allow learners to express and to celebrate their new knowledge or skills that they gain through a learning experience. Okay, look at that. Question number 1, it looks like most of you chose experience. I agree. I think that when you're starting off talking about how a person has a lot of rich experience in the field, we're definitely focused on experience in that one. Question number 2 is active and self-directed. Excellent. That's exactly what those two, or question number 2 is trying to evoke. Question number 3, relevancy. Where is this content in terms of the learning objectives? And number 4, activity and self-direction. So when you see the examples, you can easily interpret how they can fit into those 4 principles of learning. We're just repurposing that information for use in another application, communication. So back to celebration and congratulation. As I said before, never underestimate the power of praise. And a best practice in learning is to allow the learners a chance to express and celebrate their new knowledge. But what about the SMEs? Did an SME's contributions meet or exceed your hope or request? Well, let them know. When you saw the magic from hard work, that magic of your content being turned into a tangible activity that provides vast amounts of learning, say something. Don't let these opportunities pass you by. One of the major motivations of individuals is to be recognized for his or her efforts. So publicly thank and congratulate your partner on juggling many other responsibilities to make the project a success. Although the end product is the goal, there are many steps and phases where work can be acknowledged and appreciated. So step 3 is celebrate and congratulate your success. So let's summarize here. The SME 3-step is to start off with your project with a partnership agreement. Then try to filter your communication using ears as your guide and celebrate and congratulate. Although we constantly hear about the lack of available talent to replace the departing workforce, it is not an impossible feat. There are effective ways of capturing that expert knowledge to ensure sustained excellent performance. Our retiring baby boomers possess a wealth of knowledge that needs to be captured and transformed into training for the new workforce. The process of building a new learning solution from that knowledge can be a daunting task for both the SME and the learning professional. But having a planned approach to work together to capitalize on opportunities and avoid those pitfalls we mentioned earlier that can slow a project will jumpstart you on the right direction. And there you have it. Voila. That's the 3-step process that learning professionals and SMEs can use to guide the dance that is a learning project. I encourage you to work with this 3-step process and add your own insights so you can positively develop learning products that benefit the future talent of your workforce. I have some more information I would like to share with you. To learn more about the content in this webinar, or to find out about course development and trainer development services, contact me through the Life Cycle Institute. But I did want to take a moment to mention that I'm going to be leading a workshop at the American Society for Training and Development's International Conference this year. It's at the Orlando Convention Center. My session is going to be Wednesday morning, the 25th. The title of the workshop is Improve Performance by Turning Your SMEs into Effective Trainers. This was a brief overview of the process that we take, but in that workshop we are going to go a lot deeper into the concepts introduced here, and we're going to have a lot more activities and build some strong tools for people to take back to use in their workplace. So I hope to see you there. I encourage you to find out more about the conference, and if you do come, please come up and say hello to me, because I would certainly like to hear your best practices and share ideas with you. With that, I'm going to pass control back to Sherry. Thank you guys very much for this introduction, and looks like we may have a couple minutes for some questions, Sherry.
Thank you so much, Tara. We do have some time now for some questions, so if you do have any questions for Tara, you can use the chat function in the bottom right corner of your screen and just make sure you select all participants so everyone can see your question, and we'll wait for some of those to come in. While we're waiting on those to come in, we do have some upcoming events to share with you. There they go. Okay, so we've got a Reliability Excellence for Managers class starting up in a couple of weeks here in Charleston, South Carolina. So that's going to be May 17th through the 19th for Session 1. That is a 4-part course. We also have another new series of that course beginning in August. So if you guys are interested in either of those, you can go to our website, www.lce.com, to register. We also have a couple of maintenance planning and scheduling classes coming up. We've got one next month in June, and then we have another one in August, and a couple more throughout the rest of the year. Root cause analysis is going to be offered in September, and then also one of our other consultants, Scott Franklin, is going to be at the Society for Human Resources Management annual conference June 28th, delivering a workshop on Yogi Berra Change Consultant. So if you guys are planning on heading to that, that would definitely be a good one to check out. And finally, we do have next month's webinar is going to be on May the 31st at 1 o'clock. The topic will be announced next week in our Impact newsletter, so make sure you guys check that out. Let's see if we've got any questions.
We do. I think some people want to see the partnership agreement questions again, so I'll show those and go over those one more time. Looks like we have some fun annotation marks to go along with that. What are the specific objectives of this project? And then on this page, we'll end with what resources are available. So I'll keep that up there for a moment. If you would also like a copy of the presentation, feel free to email education@lce.com, and we'd be happy to send that. We would be happy to send that to you.
Sure, and we'll definitely also send out the link to the recorded version of this webinar once it's available, and we'll send that to everyone who was registered here today, and we can go ahead and make sure that you guys get that, that link for the recording if you want to view this again or pass it on to a colleague. So it doesn't look like we've got any more questions coming in. So.
Yeah, we'll leave this page up, and if people want to jot down these questions, and again, if you'd like a copy of the presentation, just let us know. We thank you very much for your attendance, and see you next month.
Thank you so much.